going on, everybody? That one dude is in the house, and we are back with episode 3 of hot stories and cold ones. And I had to go, third time is the charm. I had to find one of the most charming dudes I could find, my boy Christian. Bro, I've known this man for a hot minute now. A lot of good stories, a lot of good times. Bro, my boy Christian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good, Danny. How are you doing?
Bro, chilling, man. I'm chilling, man. Dude, it's snowing outside. It's blizzarding outside. So, what better thing to do than just to sit down and just like have a good time, chill with the boys, have a conversation, and it be a good vibe. My
Yeah.
dudes, listen. You know how we started off, and we started off right with this segment. Am I the asshole? Okay, and I found a good one. We got it going. The title starts as, Am I the asshole for allowing my friend to sleep with my current boyfriend? Okay, this is a lot to unravel. Hello everyone. For privacy reasons, I will be changing names. I am 24. I am a 24-year-old woman. My boyfriend is 29 and my former friend is 23. I call my boyfriend Josh and my friend Sally. Sally and I went to the same secondary school and were close back then. After we both went to university, staying touch became difficult. I tried to keep the friendship alive, but it often felt like I was the only one making the effort. Still, I cared deeply about her. She had supported me through my first heartbreak, and I always tried to look out for her in small ways. Over time, communication faded, her numbers stopped going through for months. I even got another number from a mutual friend, but that didn't work either. Eventually on her birthday on October of 2024, I tried again and it finally connected. We talked, reconnected and started communicating regularly again. When she later returned to our hometown, she invited me over during one of our phone conversations and then wait, what? Oh yeah, during one of our phone conversations, my then situationship Josh commented on her voice. She asked who he was, and I told her he was my friend. At that point, Josh and I weren't officially dating, just a situationship, and I wasn't comfortable explaining that yet. When I went to Sally's place, she asked more about him. I showed her picture and said we were talking, but he was my best friend. She said she wanted to meet him later that day. We went to my place and I slept over because Josh lived nearby. They met, clicked immediately, and exchanged numbers. I didn't see it as a problem at first. I had introduced her to male friends before without issues, but this time felt different. She seemed smitten. Chat, you gonna have to comment what the hell that word means. I asked her I asked her if she liked him, and she said yes. That he carried conversation well. I joked about her being a good wife for him. She laughed and said she wasn't ready for that. I also asked Josh if he liked her. He said not really, just that the vibes were good. I even told him that if he liked her, I'd step aside, but he insisted I shouldn't. A few weeks later, Josh told me he and Sally had a date planned. I said okay. Later, I found out the date turned into them booking a hotel room and kissing. I was shocked. He said it just happened. Sally told me she was going with the flow. Ugh. A week, a week after that, there was a plan for sex. Each of them claimed the other suggested it. Josh assured me Sally knew he wasn't looking for anything serious. Against my better judgment, I went along with it and even helped plan logistics like the hotel and things she requested. I didn't really understand my feelings at the time. I think I was just trying too hard to be a supportive friend. One day it happened. I was extremely upset and asked Josh to call it off. He refused, reminding me that I'd said I was okay with it and helped plan it. Then, what's it called? They went ahead. I was hurt, but after some time, Josh and I talked and smoothed things over. 2 weeks later, he told me he was going to Sally's house just to talk. I didn't believe that. I decided to tell Sally the truth, that Josh and I were in a situationship the whole time. She was very upset. I apologized repeatedly, told her I hadn't intended on for things to escalate the way they did. I initially said I wouldn't tell Josh about our conversation so she could confront him herself, but I later told him anyway. Josh said he wouldn't go to her place again, but he did without telling me. Sally told me that they talked, he apologized, and then they had sex again. What hurt more was that the day before, Sally had told me she wanted nothing to do with him anymore because he is your man and that what's it called? That, oh yeah, we couldn't be sharing a man. Wow. After a lot of arguments and emotional chaos, apologies were exchanged between all of us. Sally said she was traumatized, so I went to her house to apologize in person. I told her I liked Josh. She said she wasn't no longer interested in him, and I thought we finally understood each other. At my family's Christmas event, I invited Sally. She initially said she couldn't come, but she surprised me by showing up with her siblings. I genuinely was happy to see her. She asked me not to tell Josh she was there because she wanted to surprise him. When Josh arrived, he was surprised, and throughout the event, Sally clung to his arm. In January 2025, Lord have mercy, Josh told me Sally invited him out again. He booked a hotel room for privacy and asked for my permission. At that point, I was emotionally exhausted and said whatever. He insisted nothing would happen, and then she just wanted to talk. They met, talked, and parted calmly. Later, Sally returned to school without telling me. I found out though Josh. I found out through Josh, and that really hurt. When I confronted Sally about not telling me she was going back to school, she escalated the situation, calling me out in our shared friend group. This caused the group to take sides, and most of them chose her side. I tried to explain my perspective, but they told me that Sally had said I suggested a threesome between her, Josh, and me. For context, I had made that comment jokingly to Sally after I thought we had reconciled in 2024 as a way to make light of the awkward, painful situation, not a serious suggestion. Despite this, the group began bashing me heavily, feeling overwhelmed and misrepresented. Thank you. I left the group chat. I even offered to bring Josh into the conversation so they could hear the full story and judge fairly, but they said that they were not interested. At that point, I dropped the matter entirely. We met again this year after I called her. She said that she had thought I'd bring my boyfriend along. I explained that I had not because I was trying to rebuild our friendship, not facilitate a relationship between her and Josh. I told her I would not be part of that. The summary of our conversation was her wanting to take the blame for her decisions to sleep with Josh. Even after I had told her about us. Time has passed. Josh and I are officially now together and genuinely happy in my relationship. However, I lost several friendships because of the situation, including Sally, even my best friend. This whole thing has haunted me for a long time. She reached out for the first time to me, which I saw as an olive branch. This made me reach out to her when I heard she was back in our hometown. It made me want to ask her to meet one-on-one, not to rub my relationship in her face, but to apologize sincerely and try to make peace. I know I hurt her. I know I should have been honest from the beginning. I take responsibility for that. She wasn't apologizing for anything. I was the only one doing it. One of my friends said I'm being selfish for wanting closure because I got the man. And she lost both a friend and a situationship. I understand the perspective, but I feel like wanting to apologize and acknowledge the hurt isn't wrong. Am I the asshole? I mean,
There's a lot
listen,
there, bro.
yo, personally, right? This is what I take from it. Yo, I am baffled that there's people in this world that are like, I'm like doing something with bull, but I know like we not official. So let me
Mm.
help you hook up with my man.
I, all right, so like, yeah, obviously, the first thing I got from that was like, obviously there was like no like actual communication at all. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if they would have just explained each other their feelings from the beginning, all of this could have been like, none of this had to happen, is what I'm saying. So, but throughout that story, I was kind of wondering, like, this Josh guy, like, what is he thinking? What is he doing?
I'm just
Like,
in my mind, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, right? Like, in the mind of a guy, I'm just thinking to myself, like, these girls have been arguing this whole time. And like, I haven't heard the story that he's capping, right? No, no, no. He
mhm.
did cap because he said that we're gonna go there just to talk, and they ended up hooking up.
Yeah,
He said, I'm gonna go
yeah.
there just to apologize, and they end up hooking up and everything like that. So I was like, yes, he is a capper, cap star, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I guess my overall thought is like, I'm really not upset for the girl, Sally, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like, she ain't told nothing. She was told that was a friend, nothing
Mhm.
more. Then you help. Your
Mhm.
friend helps you get busy.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Josh must have been, open that mother.
Josh was going along for the ride, bro. Josh
bro,
was going
bro,
along for the
Josh,
ride.
yo, I'm telling you, bro,
Sounds like Josh was down for whatever.
bro was getting game every freaking other day, bro. I swear to gosh, it was the
But
friend or the person who wrote it. Like,
That's what I was saying, and I don't really understand. Like, obviously, Sally, from what it sounds like, didn't really do anything wrong. She was kind of set up for what happened. She, like, the narrator threw her the oop, and well, although the narrator didn't really throw her the oop, but she also didn't like. Right, right. She was just kind of like, she gave like a little bit of an assist, but the and I, so I don't really understand what the narrator was thinking, because to be honest, in this story, the only person that could be the asshole is really the narrator, maybe Josh a little bit, because Josh obviously was just playing the field, and like, both the narrator and Sally were just like, obviously had zero communication between each other. So, or zero good communication. So I'm gonna say the narrator's the asshole. Although it doesn't really, the narrator doesn't really seem like an asshole, but I think if anyone had to be one, it would have to be the
cause while I
person
say
telling
that
the
the
story.
narrator took a lot of shots to the heart, yo. Cause like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about being like, yeah, my friend, hook up with my man's, and then like you on his ish later that day, or you like later that week or whatever the case. It's like, that doesn't sit with you, man. You know what I mean? Maybe it sits different, guy and girl. I don't know. I'm not a girl, but like, I'm just saying, like, situation flipped. Hell no, bro. You got her, bro. Like, that's
Oh
all.
yeah,
That's all
yeah.
you, fam. Like,
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know really why the narrator wants Josh after all this. Like, you know what I mean?
that has been what has been pondering me, because yo, when we were back in school, we had situations where we
Mhm.
were wondering. Like, I remember a time back in the RAing days, right? When I was sitting there
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
heartbreak was going on and stuff like that. I'm not gonna say no names, but I had to find a person you may know, I believe, in the washroom where the washers and dryers were crying because they got their
Mm.
heart broken
Mhm.
by
Mhm.
like somebody who lived on the same floor and some shit like that with us and everything like that. And I just sit in my mind just like, Christian, am I messed up, bro? It's on to the next mentality, bro. Like, is it not? Is it not?
Bro, you dead on. I
Yo,
I don't understand what Josh must have something that the narrator was really fiending for, if you
yo,
know what I
for real
mean.
though.
For
Yeah.
that's the only thing that can explain it,
Like,
if you know
dude
what I
definitely
mean.
cooks good food, bro. I promise you. He must
Oh.
he
Mm.
yo, dude must be gourmet Gordon Ramsay, bro. Like, dude is
Bro,
built.
I don't really understand what else would explain it, you know?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, he's hooking up with your friend while also in a situationship with you. I kind of I don't really understand what the Josh narrator dynamic was when all this was happening. I don't think she really went into too much detail on that, but I think that would be a little more important for figuring out who's like the biggest asshole. But
I'm also just wondering
yeah,
what makes you bring your situationship to like hang out with you and like your friends. If you don't even know if you like dude like that, why is he meeting your peoples? You know what I'm saying? It's just
right,
like,
right, right,
you
right.
know what I'm saying? Because you're just like, okay, like you don't know how you feel about him, so you're not gonna claim him, and then you're gonna get mad about that
There's
kind of ish. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's just like,
right, right. Yeah, you can't be like I get being protective over something that you don't have but you want, or like that kind of dynamic. But at a certain point, like it ain't yours. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
I mean,
you don't got it on lock, so you're basically throwing lobs for other people to, you know, it's it's a rough situation. But yeah, I don't. I feel like Sally was kind of
she got done a
Sally
little
was the
dirty.
one that was. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
No, see, that reminded me. That reminded me of a time, right? And this is story time part one. This is what kind of this reminded me of a story, right? So when I was back in college in the summer, I remember, and I was hanging
Hmm.
out with Joey at the time, and we went to Beer Boys, and we were hanging there for a minute, and I already knew that night started wrong by how the lady came up to me, right? Like there's this lady that came up to me, and I'm drinking Modelo, right? Just chilling, having a good time, joking with Joey. And yo, some girl, she taps me on the shoulder. She's like, "So what are you drinking?" Right? And I'm like, "Oh,
Hmm.
Modelo." She straight up looks at me, no lie, straight to the face, because she was like, "Can you speak English, please?" I'm like, "Yo, what are we?" Yo, I sat down. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Even Joey looked at me. He's like, "Miss, that was English." And he's like, and we're both looking at her like, "What are we doing? Like, what do you?" She's like, "No, it wasn't." And I said, "Ma'am, right there." And it's the big tab that says Modelo on it. She's like, "Oh, well, let me." And then she gets one of them, right? Drinks a sip of that shit. She's like, "That shit's disgusting." Slams it next to me, right? No bullshit. Slams it next to me, and then her man comes up and he's just like, "Yo, you got what's up with you, bro?" Like, da da da. And I'm like, I don't know what happened here. And this is what I mean, right? About like going out and anything can happen, right? It's just like that dude
Hmm.
is out here just normally conversating with girl. She catches feelings, and now somebody feels some type of way, or whatever the case is. And
Hmm. Hmm.
it's just like, what are we doing? Like, but mind you, right? Mind you, let's be for real. Those two bars we used to hang out back in the day, where there was a lot of fiends back in the day, bro.
Oh yeah.
There were people that were quenching for a drink, bro. Like they were
Yeah,
thirsty, bro.
yeah,
So it's like,
absolutely,
and I'm
bro.
not even gonna lie to you, the person who was talking to me, she definitely was like a 2 out of 10. So like, I don't know why, right? Like, I was like, I showed no signs, none of that issue between Christian, and this is what I mean, bro. That it just be like that.
Wow, I'll tell you. I mean, so you're telling me that the man's she like the man's that was asking you what was up, she probably just met that night.
That she just met
Is that
probably
what you're
that
saying?
night because he was like macking with her for a minute. Because I saw
Yeah.
him mac with her for a little bit, and then that didn't go well, I guess. So then she started talking to me,
Hmm.
and I said Modelo. She said I spoke Spanish. I didn't know where that came from.
Hmm.
And yeah, and then dude like had a freaking problem. And then me and Joe, I was like, "Bro, Joe, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like, I ain't trying to stick like this stuff in his ass, bro. So like, let's get this shit out of here. Like, let's get it
Yeah.
rocking, bro." And there's already been two instances. I told a previous story beforehand about the time that Mike got almost into a fight in that bar, and I had to freaking
Hmm.
grab him because I was like, "Bro, like go talk to that girl," and he decided to freaking run over the 6'5" African American dude, like for like no reason. And I sat there and I'm like, this is what I mean. Like
Hmm.
this is just what
Yeah,
I mean.
there's definitely a thing to be said for people who are like, all right, so it's one thing like if you're at the bar and somebody comes up talking like macking to your girl, you know what I mean? Like talking to your girl, that's one thing. Like if she's your girl, like you've been dating her, you know, wife, girlfriend, whatever. That's another thing. Like, and I don't know how people like can't comprehend this, but like if you meet a girl at the bar one night and you this is the first time you met her, and you see her talking to somebody else that night as well, like later that night or whatnot, and you get butthurt, I mean, bro, at a certain
Bro,
point, you gotta
speak it,
understand, and
bro.
that it comes back to the story. It's like, bro, that's not your girl or that's not your man. It can go both ways, but and dude, it's ridiculous. I've seen it go both ways too, where you're with a group of girls and like, bro, there's always someone crying. You know what I mean?
Yo, yeah,
There's
yeah,
always
yeah,
someone
yo, yo,
crying at the
yo, yo,
bar,
yo, yo, yo. There's always somebody upset about something with that. And you're like,
and it's just
you
like,
just fucking up the buzz. Like, you just fucking up
bro,
the buzz.
literally, it's like, man, that's why like it's rough. But yeah, it's people not knowing their place in a 30-minute old relationship that with someone you
That's what
just
I'm getting
met.
at,
You know
right?
what I
People are
mean?
just like, I just planned my whole life with them in my head, and it's just like, what are you talking about, bro? Like,
Right.
I just gotta make a look. You know what I mean? Like, this is
Hmm.
not the plan. So that was actually gonna be one of the first questions I was gonna ask right after this was, do you feel that college, mind you, there's of course college relationships that last all the way to marriage. You know, I know you're a
Hmm.
product of that. So it's like the
Hmm.
question kind of lies in, do you feel in college it's like
Hmm.
the time to experiment, time to just chill, just to like just let life flow, right? You know what I mean? Because when we're an adult, like
Hmm.
you have more of a structure. You have your Monday through Fridays, your weekends maybe a little bit more free and stuff. But it's like I see people get into like their mental. It's like you don't know what you're doing in college, but it's like you're not gonna know what you're doing in life either until you find your purpose, you find your reasoning. So it's like
Hmm.
in college, in these like relationships that you're seeing, you're figuring out, do you feel is that what is the proper way, right? Now that you have like, that you since you have that you feel as if to like find that relationship. Do you feel like there needs to be structure? Do you feel like it's a day-to-day process? What is your method to the madness?
So college is definitely a place where you like find out a lot about
You
yourself in
do.
a short time. In that, that first freshman year, you learn a lot about yourself. Um, if you were to ask me this question, like a few years ago, maybe while I was in college, I'd have been like, honestly, like it's X, Y, Z. It's this, and that. What I've realized, especially the past year, is like, dude, I have a lot of friends that put up with shit I would never put up with, that that do things I would never do inside of a relationship,
Yeah.
that conduct themselves certainly, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's not a way I would conduct myself. And from that, I've kind of learned, man, I don't know if there is like a right way to go about a relationship. Now, I will say for college, let me think about how I'm gonna word this. Um, I think freshman year is kind of where, so the first year you kind of got to figure out who people are. You know what I mean?
I agree.
You don't, if you're getting into a relationship the first week, the first month, the first even semester
Doing
of
something
school,
wrong.
you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up to, have a terrible time with a woman who, or at that point it's just you're setting yourself up for failure,
It's
right?
like if you think you
So
lost, how lost you think she is right now?
right, and girls. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Mm-hmm.
they're that when they get to that school the first week, first month,
It's a little crazy. It's a little, especially when I was in
let's put it
sports. I'm not lying to you, right? And my sorry to cut you off. The animalistic feeling, right, that you have when you're like 2 weeks straight of just straight football, bro. I'm not even lying to you.
Mhm.
I'll never forget this shit. Just like being there, just seeing dudes straight 2 weeks, right? That's all you're around, working out, hanging out, lifting practice, and then like you just see a bro. I have never seen like the shit that you like, the shit that I've seen, how the guys acted. Like I
Oh yeah.
remember, and this is like a bad representation. I didn't laugh. I was dumbfounded seeing the reaction. I remember when they were explaining the whole like respecting one another, being nice to each other, everything in between. And there were dudes straight up like screaming across the auditorium amongst them, just like, "Hey yo, mom, what's your number? Hey yo, mom," like just trying to just mac the whole time while they're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
present a video, and I'm in my mind just like
Crazy.
animalistic, bro. It's just crazy work, bro.
Mm-hmm. Bro, that's the thing. Like, you, if if you're out here finding a relationship for the first month of being in college, you're gonna end up with the girl who's at the football house on Friday nights up until 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Like it should, it should
Yo,
they ain't gonna they ain't gonna pan out for you,
it's
bro.
never gonna
It's
work
not
out
gonna
like
pan
that.
out
It's
for
never
you.
gonna work out like that. No. Believe me, like
That's why you
I
you
believe me.
gotta
I
you
got my. I
gotta.
remember back in the day, my freshman year. I remember I got like my shit broken. Like there was a bull, right? I got a little angry with him because
Mhm.
I remember at one point like when I was like macking or whatever, and then what's it called? I got like a video, I guess, of the chick with some other dude or whatever the case was or whatever, and I was like, oh damn, and it wasn't no like 30-minute John or whatever. It was about like a good couple weeks or some ish like that. And we just chilling. And I was like, oh shoot, it's getting so okay. This is chilling. This is chilling. And I saw that. I was like, oh hell no, oh hell
Mhm.
no. And yo, brushed it off. Boom, just like that. Whatever the case was, Stonewall, chilling, easy money. But that's the thing too. I was gonna say, do you feel as if right? Because
Mhm.
I say that, yes, and I say this, and I agree. Because Big Pops taught me this lesson. He's like that. He feels girls are more sneaky than guys. So that's the. I'll pose the question, and this is
Ah.
for the clip. Are girls more sneaky slash dirtier than guys?
Mm. I'm gonna, because I put dirty and sneaky in two different categories. Like two,
Mm.
I, I would say girls are more sneaky than guys, but guys are more dirty than girls, if you know what I mean.
So
So
let me. So,
let me,
but first, explain each in its own category.
so starting off with guys, like we all have a friend who's just like a dog. You know what I mean? Like they're out there playing in the field, if you know what I mean. And I have some friends that like have told me some ways that they're talking to one girl, but they're also talking to another, but those two are friends, and they have to manage this whole thing without letting these two women know that he's he's playing with both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm just like, man, how do you play that off? How do you pull that off?
It's a
Like
lot of work. It's a lot
they're
of
out
energy.
they're out here doing research. They're out here they're out here making plays. They're running formulas
They
and
call audibles.
calculations. They're calling audibles. And sometimes I'm just sit back, I'm like amazed. Like I'm like, dude, you are a dirty dog.
Bro's a master at this shit. Like master
Yeah,
craftsman.
like so I'll say that, but and sometimes it's like, man, you got some questionable morals. I'll tell you what. But on the other hand, I think with girls, I think they can be more sneaky in the sense that like they do it a lot more low key and maybe not as high in volume. Um, it I don't even know how to explain that, but I feel like do you get what I'm saying?
I got a perfect example for you, right? I got the perfect example. The
Okay.
reason why I say the perfect example is because I've told this story in the last one and I repeat it for you again. So this one got me because I've been told a story, right? And then I also seen work done at Nuna's when we were hanging there beforehand. And
Hmm.
for me, or when I went to freaking my mother to go see Ram at Lycoming, I'll share all those stories. So the first one was when we were at the pizza spot, Suvio's, right? When we were there,
Hmm.
I was told a story about how no names, a girl got absolutely hammered, right? And in that being the case, she wanted to stay there. And her boyfriend went to the school across the street, right? Because she went to our school and she went to the rivalry, and he went to the rivalry school. So they went, she got hammered. He was trying to come to pick her up or whatever, but was taking too long. So then the guy, security dude, was like, yo, you are too drunk. You need to get out. Try to take her out. She said, no, what can I do to stay? And he said, oh, I got an idea. And that idea involved the back of the pizza spot, a dumpster, and yeah, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, then she got to stay there until the boyfriend picked her up, and he picked her up like it was nobody's business, and she acted all apparently lovey-dovey, everything cordial, no issue, no problem. Like everything was chilling.
Man, I'll tell you what. How do you not have trust issues nowadays? Like, bro, how do you know you're not that guy?
How do you know, bro? Like, you just walking in all casual and you thinking to yourself, like, oh my God, what is this shit?
Bro.
Like, right?
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like
the world's a harsh place.
No,
Man.
it is, bro. Like I say, like, I'm blessed because, like, I know mine doesn't like that scene, isn't about that scene. So it's like, hallelujah, thank you. But another story was when we were at Nuna's. And I remember when we were out there on my 21st, actually. And I will never... Huh?
I said, oh, okay.
Were you there? Were you there for that? No, wait. No, I don't think you were. No.
Nah, I wouldn't have been 21 yet.
You're right. But my 21st, I remember we were out there. Again, no names. I remember a girl when... And me and him were boys. That dude and I. And he dabbed me up. Everything was chilling. And I was like, oh, what's going on with you guys? Da-da-da. He's like, dude, she just broke up with me tonight. Everything's not going so well. I saw her make out with like 2 different dudes that same night, bro. And I'm in my mind like, bro, talk about freedom. Like, that's exactly what she took away from it, bro. Like, that is exactly what she took away from it, bro. And it was like, then there was another one. I remember, and I'll never forget this shit, bro. We were at Lycoming. And I remember when we were hanging out, bro, I made this drink. I called it pique leche. It was Smirnoff caramel, rum chata with what's it called, 2 shots of coconut Bacardi, bro. That shit was hitting. Me and Ram chugging it. This chick, oh my God, I can't remember her name. Yo, tried to snap, bro. She's bigger than me, right? And I'm not fat shaming, but she bigger than me. And you gonna try to grab the bottle straight out my hand, bro. At that point, I'm full on like 100% strength. Like, no, like get the freak off me. Later that day, she jumped. Later that night, she got excited, got onto the couch. I heard something crack, jumps on my back to to be like, oh my God, damn, and tries to jump on my back. I jacked up my lower back trying to hold her. And I told Ram that he needs to bring me back to the room to lay on the floor for about 10 minutes because I was fucked. But back to the story. We went and we were hanging out with one of his boys there. And what's it called? And he was complaining nonstop, like, bro, my God, my girl always telling me she busy and she hanging out and she yada 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 and everything like that. And then me and Ram, I was like, Ram. I was like, I'm gonna go real quick. I'm gonna go. And we ended up dipping. We ended up leaving. I ended up going somewhere. What's it called? Up the room in the dorm room. Lord have mercy, freaking drawing a blank. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing people getting to it. They're getting busy, and I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing. Like, this is crazy in here, right? I'm really losing it. And she comes out right afterwards or wherever they have fun, they do what they gotta do. I'm walking by, hello, walk by, acting like everything's normal. You know what's crazy?
What?
That same girl was the one that was with his boy, and I didn't know that because I never met his girl. So, like, I saw her 20 minutes later, and she's like, oh, hey, baby. Kiss, like, Christian!
Oh.
Christian!
Ah, that's brutal.
We can't be doing this ish.
I bet that was an eye-opening eye-opening moment when
Joel,
you
I'm
connected the
sitting there,
dots.
like, bro, you can't make this shit up.
Oof. That's a
Like
dog eat
I
dog
say
world,
all the
man.
time, it is a God blessing that me and Ram did not go to the same school together because of how that night went. But like when I saw that, I promise you, I contemplated if love was real, bro.
Wait, so what's your answer to the guys or girls more sneaky question?
Oh,
What's
I
your
say
answer?
girls 100%, bro. I say because I feel like with
Okay.
guys, we have to plan, we have to coordinate, we have to do.
Oh, you got to be smart
You
about
gotta
it.
be a genius, bro. You gotta know how to do this ish. It's what if your plane breaks down, you gonna start sweating. You're like the precipitation is gonna start building on your forehead and your body. Your whole mood's gonna change. Everything's gonna
I
feel
know, you
different.
know why that is? You know why that is? That's because, bro, have you ever told a girl to like find someone on Instagram, like someone completely random, and they can like pull up their Instagram in like a minute,
Like
and
that,
you're
bro.
like, how did you do that? Bro, to be honest, girls are like, they're like
Bro,
Sherlock Holmes when it comes to this stuff.
bro, for real.
But,
This is like a freaking like Super Bowl to them, bro. Like,
hmm and that's why like guys have to be really calculated about it. But on the other side, girls, guys, they're thinking about a ton of different things a day, and you're thinking about what you gonna. You think about so many things, work, school, uh, where your next meal is coming from. You know what I mean? Like you don't be thinking like Sherlock Holmes like that. You know what I mean? So it,
you
we
basically
honestly do
you the way the guys
guys
I
do
feel
it to
like plan their
themselves.
sneaky shit on a schedule. You know what I'm saying? And like they expect
Hmm.
their schedule not to intertwine with one another. It's like I'm gonna see her Tuesdays and Fridays. I'm gonna see this shorty
Hmm.
Wednesdays and Sundays. Give myself Thursday and Monday to have time for myself and for them to think, oh my god, he's
Hmm.
working on himself. Like that's what we think. Well, I feel like, bro, straight up, a dude, like a girl, right, who's macking, cheating, all that stuff. I feel like a dude could walk into the crib, right, walk into it with her man right there, and she won't have a freaking lick, a face, nothing. She's just like,
Hmm.
and if the
Hmm.
dude came up to her like, "Hey, yo, what's going on?" She's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, bro. Acting
And it'll be
top
yo
tier.
acting, bro. I'm talking about Golden Globe. I'm talking about like
Hmm.
Academy Award winning. Babe, I don't know who this guy is. Like, can we get out of here? I'm really confused. Like, this is not this. I feel uncomfortable. Like, and it's like, what are we doing?
Bro, and that's the thing, like, yeah, the girls they can honestly like sometimes they be working together, like how they like if you ever walk into like you know a girl's dorm room or whatever, like they're talking about these things, figuring things out, connecting dots. When guys are together, we're like, yo, what you think of the John Cena's retirement? What you think of that? What you think of that? Steph Curry three, that kind of stuff. It's like we're not even thinking about that, and that's how a lot of dudes end up getting played. You know what I mean?
Because I feel like for myself especially, like I don't really ever think to myself like, oh my god, I gotta be weary of my woman because she's gonna do X, Y, and Z. It's like I
Right.
haven't nothing.
Hmm.
God, thank God, right? Thank the Lord, and I hope it keeps going that way. Nothing tragic like that
Hmm.
has occurred to me. So it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
I don't think
Same.
to
Same.
myself, hey, I don't think I'm untouchable. You know what I mean? But I think to myself, like, it
Hmm.
hasn't been done. We're gonna keep it rocking that way. Like,
Yeah. It's one of those things like you don't think it's gonna be you until it's you, and you just have to hope you're one of those people it doesn't happen to. You know what I mean?
that's all you hope.
There's no way you can't really like if you try and figure it out, you're gonna drive yourself crazy.
Psychotic.
Dri- Yeah. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Say that. Okay, well, we got a little special. Am I the asshole part two? And it's brought to you here by Christian. You got it,
Hmm.
man.
Yeah, yeah. So this one's on a little different of a topic. It's not so much about relationships as it is about your roles in family relationships dynamics and also at work. So the title of this goes, am I the asshole for not getting my nephew an internship interview after getting them for most of the others? All right, so the description goes, I work for a large organization that brings on interns, and over the years, I've gotten most of, but not all, my nieces and nephews' interviews. They are never guaranteed spots. All I do is get them in the interview pile. My nephew is graduating. His mom, my sister-in-law, asked me about the internship, and I told her that Eric needs to be the one to reach out to me. When he finally came to me, it was obvious he was just doing it because she told him to. He did not seem interested, and if I'm being honest, the way he speaks is childish. It's all brain dead, bruh, fam, TikTok speak. He could not articulate why he wanted the internship. I told him that if he really wants this, I need him to show me, and asked him to write me a brief note giving me the reasons he wanted the internship and what he planned on doing with the experience. I was surprised he sent me anything at all, but when I read it, it was obviously generated. I told him that I could not put in a good word for him because he could not even do the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
He had a complete meltdown over it, telling me that I was being unfair and that no one these days actually writes stuff like this. His mom came to me too saying the same things. I told them both that I'm not going to risk my own reputation. I asked him point blank, why do you want this internship? And he replied, I don't know. My brother made the case that my nephew had struggled during the pandemic. The academic landscape has changed, and he needs someone to give him a chance to show him what he can do. And that years ago, someone had given me a chance despite not being a straight A student, which is true. Part of me thinks I should get him an interview just so he can see how unprepared he is, but I know that that would be a mean thing to do. Am I wrong to not get him an interview? Is that just how kids are these days? Now, Danny, I know you got a little brother, and I know you probably, I don't have any, I have a little sister, but she's basically a year younger than me, so I don't have too much experience with that. But where do you draw the line between helping family and possibly risking your career or putting your career in a more negative light to help someone who A, is not willing to put in the work, but is also probably not someone who's actually interested in the internship for work experience, etc., just doing it because they're told to?
So for me, right, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't give recommendations like that at all. I've been asked by like so
Mhm.
many of like close people to us to be like, yo, like you think you can give me a recommendation, yada yada, and it's just like I tell them like I can hand you I can hand like your resume to him, but I ain't gonna go and say that you that guy. I ain't gonna go and say like, oh,
Mhm.
he's ready, whatever the case is. Just cause like, I mean, you know me, like I had to, like I'm all about like, yo, you gotta bust your ass 3-4 times more than anybody else. Try to get your name out there, do what you gotta do. Like I've never been about how do I say giving. I guess you could say like handout opportunities when I feel as if like somebody's gonna notice you. And I really never was also
Mhm.
somebody to go and be like, hey, like, please, like, just, like, put in a word for me so I could go do X, Y, and Z and
Mhm.
everything like that. Like, it didn't happen with the job I got now. With my internship, it never happened like that. So, and with college, it was a freaking story and a half for me. But, yeah,
Mhm.
no, like, as far as my brother goes, love him to death, back him up, do whatever I gotta do for that kid. But, like, I know, like, push came to shove. If it's like, he's like, Daniel, like, I want the job, and I don't feel like he ready. If I can't see him in that position, I couldn't. You know what I mean? That's how I felt
Mhm.
with he's gone now, Sat Marie. That's how I felt with him, for example, right? Like he lit me up a little bit in whatever
Mhm.
class we had him in. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember the freaking class name, but trying to be like, oh, Daniel, you're not doing this, this, and this right. You're not doing this, this, and this right. And it's like I was straight up look at my work, look at Scott's work, and this is when Jimmy was living with me, looking at Jimmy's work, and I'm in my mind like, this shit's basically almost the fucking same.
Mhm.
But guess
Yeah.
what? I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? You want to glaze my ish? Like somebody always has to take the hard hits when it comes to the classes. I feel like not everybody can get an A. There
Mhm.
always has to be that kid that's gotta be like, Lou, bro, love
Yeah.
Lou. I
Yeah.
love Lou. I love Lou. He used to be on my ass. Like
Yeah.
horrendously. But it's okay. Like, but back to the summary thing, like for me, right, when it was like that, and he was like, "Oh, telling me like, oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, or whatever." And then the internship came up saying they're looking for somebody to do it, and then I did it. All that shit in between,
Mm-hmm.
and then that summer he goes in, and Big Ball is like, "Yo, let's call Sat Marie to go and ask him a question about, what have they got done so far." And then decides to call, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like this is what I actually figured out." But guess what? I already figured out the shit that you couldn't figure out. We're on to the next step now, and it's like, so if you're really not like ready for the situation, one, right? I'm hurting your reputation because I said you were ready,
Mm-hmm.
and then you showing people how not ready you are, and now I'm looking dumb because I said based on my scale you ready, and you really weren't.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now
Yeah.
company wastes money. Now they waste their
Mm-hmm.
time. Now they have to spend more money to go and look for other people, depending on how they
Mm-hmm.
do that stuff. And then yeah, it's just like it's a big stack of effects. I feel like when you want to go and give somebody a position like that, and they're just not ready for it. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it's bad on both parts. So bad for the person who's being recommended and bad for the person who's making the recommendation, especially if it's, someone who really isn't fit for the job. Um, it can look bad on both people. And as far as like the family goes, I mean, you and I both probably agree that like some trial by fire is a good thing. It can bring out the best in people when
Mm-hmm.
you are set up in a situation where the odds are against you for multiple, it could be a multitude of reasons. It could be either that you're not prepared or that, you're interviewing for a job that, might not even be exactly what you want to do or something that you're as qualified to do. But honestly, in those kind of situations is when you learn the most about yourself and you progress the most. Um, so it's a double-edged sword. I can see how someone would say, even if this person might not be the perfect person for this job, it, it's tricky because you don't want to waste your company's time. You don't want to. There
Exactly
would
that.
have to be at least some. There would have to be at least some world that you could see this working out for both the company and the person. Like
Mm-hmm.
it can't just be like the person's completely unfit for the job. It would have to be someone who you at least think has a lot of potential,
If they got
or is
good work
pretty
ethic, no
bright.
knowledge, they could be taught.
Yeah, or like the opposite, like they're really smart, but they just haven't really been shown the way to how to like actually conduct themselves, that kind of thing. But yeah, as far as family goes, I mean, it depends. If it's someone you really care about, maybe I would be more convinced to set them up with the interview just so that they can either fail and get better from the situation or like fail and understand that they're not ready for it. Or maybe you could set your own biases aside and say maybe they'll do better. Maybe I'm just seeing them in a bad light, or because everyone acts different when they're like around professionals versus when they're with their family and friends. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Family doesn't, I feel like wouldn't make too much of a difference to me. I guess it would just be how much I care about that person.
So to a second part to your question, right? You know how people ask, right, when they're going for a job and they ask for what's that thing called when the company will call you and they're asking you for recommendation? Not isn't it recommendations or is it references, right? I think like they're
Yeah,
looking for
references.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you got a call, right, and you know how your boy is, right? If your boy is on some wild shit, dog shit, on some crazy shit, right? And they're like, we want to give
Hmm.
him a promotion, but they need references, and they call you and they tell you like he's in the position to become like a air pilot, something that involves like other people's
Oh,
lives, other people's stuff, all this stuff in
yeah.
between, right? And your boy's like, bro, I need
Hmm.
you to look out for me. Like, come on, like, give me this
Hmm.
reference. I think I'm ready for it. Da da da. But like, you be seeing how he hooked up with Shorty in the bathroom, came out, took a shot, and started macking with the other girl and took the other girl home. You be seeing how like when Grammy's having a hard time walking across the street, like he kicks her cane and she falls on the floor and he walks away. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you see your man is not a
Yeah.
good man, and then all of
Hmm.
a sudden like an airline calls you or the government calls you and they're like, yo, listen, we are planning to go and promote this man to a highly classified position. He's going to know all these secrets. We're going to be promoting him to a pilot or airline traffic control. He's going to be controlling all these people's lives and da 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 da. Are
Hmm.
you vouching for your boy?
It it really depends on the situation. If they're gonna be something like a pilot, I ain't riding for my boy. Hold on, I can't. I couldn't do that in good conscience. You know what I mean? Like if that's just that's too critical of a job. Like if bro's like every weekend he's going out and getting trashed on getting drunk and blah 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 and makes a lot of questionable decisions. I can't do that for something like a pilot. If they're gonna be like like let's say they're gonna be like an FBI agent or something, and like they have some of these like questionable things, but it's like not as long as it's not terrible. I would probably ride for him because it's like, you're not like wow, it's important to maybe uh, government performance and national security or whatnot. It would really depend on the job, man. It would depend on the job and the person. I've had some people in my life that I probably wouldn't recommend regardless. It
Mm.
could be the most like nonchalant job, and like I'm just like, bro, this person should not be working at McDonald's. But that being said, I mean, it would depend on the job, man. But yeah, it's something as critical as like a pilot. No, it's got you got to be an upstanding guy in areas that are at least somewhat related to your work. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now, like if you don't have like if one of my friends was like like cheated on his girl, that wouldn't be a reason I wouldn't recommend him to be a pilot. Like that's totally irrelevant, and that's like 99% irrelevant. So I like that wouldn't bother me, but it's stuff like I feel like if you're drinking all the on the weekends and whatnot, or like maybe you have poor health, like maybe like
The plane could
what's it
take
called
off and
when
you
you
possibly think your dude's gonna have a stroke or have a heart attack mid.
yeah, like if bro is like smoking a lot. I mean I'm sure the FFA or not FAA or yeah the FAA has like regulations on who can even fly uh, a plane. But if bro's like a heavy smoker, and I'm like, dude, like you're not looking so good, blah blah blah, then I probably wouldn't recommend him. But it's things like that. It depends. Depends.
I see. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as the asshole thing for this part, I guess
Hmm.
one kind of final question that kind of came to my mind as you're explaining that. So I feel like in the like for our age, right? I feel like a lot of people that we may be like in work and everything. What overall do you feel as if it's like a big difference in the generations that you see like in your job? I'm like, I'm talking about like, the baby
Hmm.
boomers, the millennials, all them and everything like that. It's like what is like a very one like thing that you see is like a big difference in how we may work, how they may work, and how we're able to kind of like coexist and things like that. You know what I mean? Like relatively like my team, like my job is relatively like young. I feel like a lot of us are like 20s and like 30s, maybe like 40s and stuff like that. Like so it's like and then you have some guys that are like in their 60s and 70s, but like not a really like a whole lot. So it's like it's a lot easier of that, but even those who are in those like 60s and 70s are still personable, chilling, good. But I feel like I'm in a rare case. I feel like other cases I hear they're just like, bro, I don't know how the hell I'm working with this guy, bro. Why is he acting like we're still in
Hmm.
1984, bro? Like,
Hmm. I think for me the number one difference is communication. And so like when you think about it, Um, a lot of the older generation, you know, when lunchtime would come around, like at work, they would all sit together and eat lunch together and talk about things outside of work, but also things inside of work, whatnot. That builds like a whole like teamwork relationship, like network. So anytime they're working on different projects, they're constantly in communication, like face to face or over the screen or whatnot. But they're constantly talking to each other on the phone. Like that's the thing. Like I noticed, like a lot of the older generation at work, they're always on the phone, making calls to each other, describing different things and whatnot. Whereas like us, like younger generation, and especially people younger than us, um, it seems like and I'm somewhat guilty of this too. We're a little more isolated in the sense that like I'm not one to like make phone call right away. I'll write it. I'll like prepare like a nice email, like if I have time and whatnot, and I'll send it. But I'm also like I understand that the people, the older generation, like they are constantly like talking to each other about everything, and that really creates like a good teamwork dynamic. Whereas like us younger people, and even in this story, like you can tell like the kid was using like AI to write like reasons why he wanted this internship,
Mm.
which is not something like I would ever do. But and I feel like most people wouldn't do that, but maybe some people do. I don't know, but it seems like that is a big difference that is gonna end up like hurting the younger generation until they're forced to like have a very high like teamwork dynamic, if you
Mm.
know what I mean.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, and I agree with you in that concept. The concept of like critical thinking, I feel as if one and two, like
Hmm.
I don't even see that just in the workplace. Like I'll go to the gym and see like older people go and like have conversations with one another while like I feel like when I go to the gym and everybody else that's around my age goes to the gym, they pump their iron, they do what they got to do,
You got your
and
headphones
the
on.
headphones in,
Yeah,
don't talk to me,
absolutely.
don't look at me, and then I'm gonna get it going and everything like that. And like recently, right, like, cause the first episode we talked about that, like, what's the goal of trying to go talk to people. I remember there was this kid, and yo, dude is like an inspiration, Loki. He looked like he has some form of like physical disability because I see like from how he like walks to like his posture and everything. But yo, he be putting effort, lifting, all that ish in between, and um, but I went, I dazzled him up. I was like, yo, bro, like there be days, bro, I don't even feel like being here, but like seeing you, bro, like it's tough. It's tough for real. And he looked at me like
Mhm.
I had 7 heads. He was like, thanks. And acting like everything was it was all awkward, and I'm just like, see what I'm saying, bro? It's just like,
You're like,
but
all
you know,
right, fuck you.
yeah, yeah. Actually, it's just like, all right, bro, shit. Like this is what I'm saying. It's like someone's got to break that cycle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think,
Oh yeah.
being the person to break the cycle, you're like a whole weirdo. It's also like you can't talk to anybody really in person anymore. Back in what was it? Back in college, what was freaking in the beginning? You know what I mean? I know COVID was a thing, but like Tinder was still a
Hmm.
thing before COVID because you can't be just chit chatting over the phone. You know what I mean? Or like chit chatting in person.
Yeah.
Cause like that's the thing. You can't just ask for someone's phone number off rip. Like
Yeah.
so, it's just like
And
it's a
it,
crazy difference. But hey, like I don't mind being the person who try to, I guess you could say, break that catalyst. But that's kind of why I made this podcast, to be able to sit here, agree to disagree, talk about things, and just really dive deep into
mhm.
like these kind of matters, I guess you could say, that are happening in the world.
Yeah, yeah, it's I mean, there's people in our generation like that are really like such as yourself, like pretty outgoing, very sociable, but it's hard like especially with work, like I don't know, there's not much remote working at my job or whatnot, but like it's hard to read people's emotions or body language when you're over a screen like, and that's the difference between like older generation, our generation is like it's like the older generation, it was a lot of face to face confrontation or asking for help face to face is honestly easier than asking for help like over the phone. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I don't know. But if I were to say who's the asshole in this story, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think you can blame the kid, although the kid sounds really annoying from the story.
I would have said the kid.
I gotta say the mom, because the mom should know. Like, if I have a kid and my brother-in-law has like a really successful company or works at a good company, and I have a kid that I know is like an idiot, I'm not gonna go to my brother-in-law. Like maybe once, just mention something, but after that, like I'm not like gonna try and like strong arm my brother-in-law or family member into getting my son who's like disinterested and has brain rot to get him an interview. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's what kind of makes you the bad person in this story. That's what I would say.
Yeah, because
Although the
you
kid
kind of
is
set
sounds
that
annoying.
expectation in a sense of,
Right,
oh,
right.
it's
And you're an
okay,
adult. You should know better.
and that's where I guess
Yeah.
dang, see, and now we're already into another question. This is the question I kind of have now with this. It's, do you feel that the parenting of people our age, because I know childbirth's gone down, like a lot of people aren't really having kids and everything like that. Do you feel though parents that are around our age have let up the gas so much to the point that these kids that are coming up are just straight slapdicks? I have a younger brother, but it's like he
Mhm.
still has the parents that I had that
Mhm.
were through the older generations. These aren't like kids
Yeah,
our age having kids going through this. Or do you
that's
feel
tough.
as if it's more of society, the allowance of technology, social media, all that stuff that are making these kids like the influences? You know what I mean? I'm talking about like the Kai Cenats, the Clover Squad, whatever the freaking with Rakai and all them bulls and everything like that. Do you like too many bad influencers doing too many stupid shit that it consumes these
Mhm.
kids' brains, making them into slapdicks? Or do you feel as if it's more of the parenting? Because I feel like it didn't matter to me what I watched back in the day.
Mhm.
Like my parents tuned me up to the point that it's like I don't act like that.
Yeah. I would say like I think it is social media, and I think it's for the reasons that like when we were growing up, we were watching like I was watching Cartoon Network, I was watching
Ooh.
Nickelodeon,
Mm-hmm.
I was watching like my parents would have on the news every once in a while, so I'd see that. Um, and like I was watching like movies and stuff, but nothing too crazy. And now like you think about it, like and once you like get older, you start venturing into like even in our generation. I mean, I was like born in 2001. You were born
2001.
2000 2001. Yeah. It's like when we were older, there was YouTube. So like we had like when we were getting into like teenage years, you were watching YouTube and whatnot, and you were watching like pretty innocent stuff back then. It was like 24-hour challenge and Walmart pranks or like
Happy
simple stuff like
Wheels
that. That was kind of
and Gmod.
it was it was yeah, it was like some of it was like the pranks back then were like totally different than the pranks now or whatnot. I think nowadays you got kids who are like, and that was when we were like 13, 14, 15, 16. Like, and before that we were watching Nickelodeon and like Cartoon Network. Nowadays you got kids who are like like first grade, second grade, third grade watching all these streamers or whatnot and watching these crazy YouTube pranks that are nothing like the pranks back in
That
like
back in the day.
2016, 2015.
Like, bro, we got Ice
And like
Spice in a SpongeBob movie.
literally, and it's like, bro, how could the kids not be like acting out after seeing all this stuff? And it's you want to put the blame on somebody, but like honestly, like when you think about it, the parents, like how much control do you have? Like when your kids go to school, one of their friends has a phone and like they'll be like watching something. It's like that's at home. If you're a parent, you can only do so much. But like even nowadays, like I mean, this might like have me sound like a like a boomer, but like even like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, like they're not what they used to be. So I feel like it's a recipe for disaster, and I think it's honestly just society and social media just going downhill. And like my mom is a second grade teacher, and she has said like the kids nowadays are so much harder to teach than back in the 90s and 2000s. It's like night and day difference. It's a totally different skill set to teach these kids because they have way less attention span, like way less attention span. They're way more like rude and obnoxious, and they're like really attention seeking like kids. And like when you think about it, like you can't even blame the kids. It's just what they're ingesting. So that's what I would say. I would say it's society at large. That's the problem. And society's that way because of social media. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Would you agree?
I do agree fully, you know what I mean? I just feel as if like there's things that also too, like for example, like I know I would never be a parent that they say like, oh, your kid has to have like a phone by first grade, second grade, whatever the case is. And it's like I wouldn't succumb
Yeah.
to the majority. And if my kid would be like, oh my God, I'm getting made fun of, welcome to life, brother. I was bullied too. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
Yeah.
and maybe, right? It's like the bullying back then is different than what bullying is now. But it's like, it's not going to say, oh, it made me who I am today. But it's like, it made me tougher, thicker skin, all that stuff in between. And it's like, when you kind of go through those things and like not succumbing to that, like you can't do a lot. You have to trust your kid when they're outside the house. And it's like, all you can really hope is that your teachings were in the house, were stick to them tremendously. Like, bro, like I remember if I went out, right? And I was asked by some of my boys, like, yo, bro, like we're about to go sell or we're about to go do this, that, and the third or whatever. And like come hang with us or whatever. Like all I thought to myself was like, if the cops got called and they caught me, and I was fat as shit back in the day, and I couldn't run. I was not that fast. So like I was like, if I got caught and they said we're gonna call your parents, I would rather tell my boys no, I'm out and walk home than to deal with my dad if he drove there. And
Oh yeah.
that's on some real shit.
100%.
And that's on some real shit, you know what I'm saying? But it's like I don't feel like nowadays like a lot of kids like have that oh shit factor with their parents. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's like, oh yeah, that's my dad. Like, and
Yeah.
especially like back in the day, right? If you think about like what being older now, back in the day, you used to think to yourself like, oh my God, my parents let me out till 11:30 at night. They let me do this, that, and the third or whatever. When I was in high school, even after we won a game, I didn't go to none of those parties. I didn't go none of that stuff. I went straight home. Cause it was like recovery, chilling, and I went to go play the games. But that's because also my parents also still had a curfew on me at that time too. And it's like, it's funny because I remember, what was it? One of the girls that we went to college with, she was just like, back in the day, like I used to think my parents were like cool as hell. Like you would think parents were cool as hell for letting you like go out so late, not caring about when you came back. But now that when you're older, you really thought to yourself like, yo, they didn't give a shit about me. Like they didn't set no rules. They didn't care when I came home. They were just like,
Yeah.
they're just like, make sure you get
It's,
back.
yeah. It's a different way of thinking about it once you become like that age when you're like, you know, and yeah, things like that. It's tricky. I mean, like you hear, like I heard a new couple that were like, man, like we're never gonna be like iPad parents. Like we're never gonna like let our kids have screens like just to distract them. And then I met them like a year after they had their kid again, and they're like, bro, he was like, bro, I guess I'm an iPad parent. Like it's too tough not to be. It's, the kids always crying their ass off if they don't have that like a screen in front of them. So and you're like, man, I really hope I'm not that parent, but who knows until you are, you know?
You know what I mean? No, I agree.
It's I mean, neither of us are parents, so it's difficult to say, but
Bro, not for the next
it's
couple of years, brother.
yeah, for real,
For real,
for
for
real.
real. No, it's gonna be expensive as hell, for real, for real. But to my
Oh,
other question,
yeah.
we mentioned it with kids, right? But I also am
Hmm.
curious. There is so much, and it kind of goes back to the first point. There is so much content out there. Love Island Games, Temptation Island, what's it called? All of these types of dating shows, um, and inspirational things that you just bring people that have spent money on their bodies, were take needles in the ass, all that shit in between. They come into these shows, right, and they try to find love as we try to proclaim it. And I guess the question is, we say these kids have a hard time in this generation when it comes to the material they're ingesting from the influence that we see. Our relationships having a hard time developing because of the poor influence we see displayed all over media, TV, and things like that. How we promote it, and uh, both women and men, how we promote it, but also conversate about it between each other. Like if you were to conversate with the opposite sex about it, rather than sitting to understand, but more of like, I'm on team boy, I'm on team girl, and you just start
Hmm.
talking horrendously. Or is it just a new generation that we feel as if, like, we blame it on something else, that we're just like, this doesn't work, this isn't it, yada yada yada. Like, is it the influence? Is it something else? And if it's something else, what is it?
So it's definitely a little bit of a mix, but it is absolutely like the influence that is being pushed. I mean, I don't know if you look on Netflix recently and like a lot of these streaming services, like what they're putting out is just absolute garbage. Like it is just garbage for the soul, man. And it definitely affects like not even just the younger generation, but honestly like all generations, because but mainly the ones that consume it, which is younger people, but all because when you think about it, I mean, like you said, you got these people in these dating shows. They're all like either got injections or plastic, and it's like these are fake people. And then you got like, some of like the dudes are probably on like steroids or whatnot. And then this is also true for like a lot of other things. It's not even just like dating relationships. It's also like if you look in the weightlifting scene,
Yeah.
like you see like these influencers and they're absolutely massive and they're on steroids or whatnot, whether they say they are or aren't. And like as a kid or even as like a guy, like a young guy like myself, you're like, shit, that looks pretty cool. Like I'd like to be that buff. Like
You
how do
start
you
comparing.
not? Yeah, you start comparing, and it's like, how do you not like lean into that and maybe start like diving deeper into like those kind of things. So, but the thing is like it's a different time and it's absolutely affecting relationships and like affecting like younger people because like when you think about it, like even just 10 years ago, like you just didn't have influencers like you do today. Like there's people like you see like all the time on your feed or whatnot, and like there was no feed like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? You didn't have like you weren't interacting with a bunch of content like within minutes. You'd watch like a long format like maybe YouTube video, or you'd watch a movie or like game shows. And there were dating shows back then that were just garbage too, don't get me wrong, like
Mm-hmm.
Jersey Shore and whatnot, like
Mm-hmm.
that's just garbage too. But there's just a lot more of it today, you know what I mean? So uh it's yeah, it absolutely is affecting expectations in relationships, roles in relationships. Like it is literally like what is modernity, like basically what's being pushed today, is just ruining everything that was our society. What the, roles of genders were, what the relationships looked like, how people like lived their lives like within like, religion and whatnot. It's just this sounds really negative, but that's honestly because it is only negative. I don't think there's anything good about those kind of shows, or even like I said, there's other aspects to it, like people like weightlifting, like a lot of this stuff that's being pushed, and it's just like, and weightlifting is good, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying like pushed by people who are not like
That are
natural
not
and
natural.
might
They have
not,
to go above and
and
beyond, and it's like not everybody's
and,
for that.
and the other thing is like, right, and it's not even the people's fault. I mean, you're seeing clips of like Larry Wheels, who is like one of one. Like you're looking at like some of the top like athletes in the world, and you're seeing them constantly on your feed, and you start to think like that's everyone. Like everyone is like, or like everyone out in the world is like that.
Mm.
And then you realize like these people are one of one. Like these are like different breeds. Like these are like, it's totally different. You get like a warped sense of reality of what you should look like or what you should be and how you should act. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm. No, and it's a fair point. You know what I mean? Because I think genuinely, kids that kind of get to that sense of like, hey, like, um, I'm seeing this from this person, I'm seeing that from that person. It's truly easy in this world to start comparing and criticizing. Um, I just
Mm-hmm.
wonder, right? Because back in the day, there was no media. Back in the day, it was beepers, flip phones, and brick telephones and phone and what's it called, house phones and stuff. But to be able to kind of have that access to see like updates in people's lives, then the kind of next question kind of
Mm-hmm.
comes like, what makes people afraid to achieve those goals in a sense? You know what I mean? If you think to yourself like I think my boy, when he met, so I'll be so for real with you, right? I didn't know who Larry Wheels was, right, until
Mm-hmm.
Ram sent me a picture, and Ram told me like, yo, he said like I think it was like once he like squats 900 pounds, he'll do a video with him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in my mind just like, so you telling my best friend to put steroids in his ass? That's basically what you telling my best friend, bro. Right here, right now. It's like to
Mm-hmm.
do that, and then he'll be as cool as you. It's like personally, you're blowing my shit, right? And that's what I mean. It's rare,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I feel like a lot of us that like are at this age, like we look at it just like, okay, yeah, no problem. I'm gonna achieve that. It's like no. It's like I have my own goals. I have my own desires. I have my own wants. But I feel like the question I want to ask you is, what is it that stops that you feel like stops this kind of generation, right? Or like maybe it stopped yourself in your own experience from making your own goals and achieving them, not comparing yourself to everybody else and what they're doing, but to say like, as Christian, this is what I want in life, and this is what I'm gonna go do it.
I would say so. That's pretty easy. So in the sense that there's two ways to look at that. So like the first way is, so you could take like a less ac- self-accountive like perspective to it, in the sense that I think the number one thing stopping like people, and even myself included, from achieving what they really want to do in life is just distraction. There's so much noise, there's so much media that
Mm.
is pushed and being, forced down people's throats, that you never end up achieving anything yourself. Like, and I struggle with this myself. I have to delete Instagram off my phone every like once in a while, and I'll re-download it, check into it every like, once or twice a week. But it's just from the sense that like, if you like this stuff, the social media stuff is addictive. It literally is just addictive. It's a fact, and it's addictive for 99% of people,
Mm.
and that's really what's stopping people from achieving what they really want to do. So that's first, and like from more of like a self-account of like perspective, where that's certainly true with the social media, but it's also an excuse. It's an excuse, and you and I both are people that like, you know we don't like excuses. You know what I
We
mean?
don't. You're right.
We try we try and even if like I find myself making excuses for myself, but I'm aware that I'm doing that and I try and correct it. But you know, regardless, it's
Yeah.
like what stops us from achieving, like what stops me from achieving what I want to do is honestly, for me myself, I would say it's, and this is like the number one thing I struggle with is like comfortability. I
Mm.
hate being uncomfortable. I hate being uncomfortable. I hate putting myself out there. And I'm aware of it when I do it. I know there's so many like aspects in life where you're like, I know if I just like spoke up or like reached out to this person or X, Y, and Z, that my life, you know, it's not a guarantee that it would improve in some way, but it's a chance that it would. But instead, sometimes I choose comfortability. I choose not do like sometimes not doing things is always more comfortable than getting things done.
Mm.
So it's keeping that voice in your head that's saying like, and there's a YouTube channel I love to watch, and it's called Yes Theory. And basically, like what they do is they just say yes to things. Like their whole motto is to like be uncomfortable. That's how you improve. That's how you grow. That's how you become a better human being is by being uncomfortable. Because once you achieve being uncomfortable in so many different situations, you're like the most well-rounded person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it's all about. So I would say that is what really holds me back is being too comfortable. And I try, and I'm very aware of it when I do it. And maybe sometimes I'm not, but I try and be very aware of it that, hey, do not set yourself up to be comfortable. That's a mistake. Being comfortable is a mistake. Being at peace or being at ease is a mistake. Like that is not what you should be doing. You should be forcing yourself to be uncomfortable because that's the only way you can grow.
I see. And I agree with that, you know what I mean? And for myself, I would say like um if I had to really like evaluate myself, it's not the uneasy feeling of being uncomfortable. It's that I guess I will backtrack myself when I feel like I'm getting uncomfortable for so long. I think to myself like when is the reward coming? Like when is the results coming? So then I kind of find a way to like, okay, let's take a break. But then when I take that break, I feel comfortable, and then I get comfortable for a little longer maybe than I anticipate, and then once I get uncomfortable, I hit it full throttle, going back, going back, going back, and then it may be like a month and a half that I'm uncomfortable for straight, and I'm like, bro, when am I gonna rest myself? Then I rest, and maybe a 1 day rest turns into a 4 day rest, and then 4 days turns into a week and a half, and I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck was I doing? Like,
Hmm.
and it's that feeling of just
Yeah.
like consistency, and I guess that's where you wonder like how long does uncomfortable feel comfortable?
Yeah, like how long until I get to feeling comfortable after, like how long does it take for me to become comfortable with what is currently now uncomfortable? That's the question. May like, and I think it could be really short, could be really long, but the whole point is that you should want to be uncomfortable because that's, and it's not what is in tune with our human nature.
Mm-hmm.
Our human nature is like try and make ourselves, like that's our whole goal in life is to like make ourselves comfortable with where we're at or where we're going to be. Like we grind now so that when we retire we can live a comfortable life. And I think taking the adverse approach and from like learning from, you know, a lot of these people online, like try to be uncomfortable. That is where you will succeed and
Mm-hmm.
grow is when you're uncomfortable. And it'll suck
For a
and it's
minute.
gonna suck
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna suck for a long time, but eventually you'll start to figure out how to overcome uncomfortable situations.
And that's that ass. And that is that
Hmm.
ass. And I guess that's what I was gonna say. So I found this to be interesting how we use AI and things like that to avoid one of those like AI is one of the tools I feel like we use to continue to be comfortable. It takes away the critical thinking skills. But I found an interesting fact, Christian, that really dawned on me, because I know this is your kind of forte and everything like that. Did you know?
Mm.
And this is where I guess I ask you why this is the case. Why is it? Did you know 23% of people between 18 and 24 do all of the simple and DIY fixes to their car, compared to generations past in the 18 or 19%? And it's funny because back in the day, it was more of like, you want to be hands on, you want to be all this stuff in between, but they would rather send it to professional services rather than nowadays. We don't care to do these simple things or these things that make us feel uncomfortable, these weird things or whatever the case was. But in our age group, there's a way higher percentage, about 5% increase in these projects with like cars, automobiles, motorcycles, all that stuff in between. And you being that into yourself, why do you feel that is the case?
Yeah, so I think it's twofold. I think, and that's an interesting statistic, but I think that the reason that is for two reasons. A, getting anything fixed, especially automotive wise nowadays, is so expensive. And I won't get into too much, I won't get into any politics, but it is it is horrendously expensive to get things fixed at a dealership or even like your local mechanic anymore. Like it is so expensive. And to be honest, a lot of times you end up feeling ripped off. I haven't been to a mechanic in the past 5, 6 years. So the other reason is that back then cars were a lot simpler, and that's just a fact. So you would think with them being simpler that it would be like a lot more user friendly, a lot more like maintenance friendly. People would be more willing to work on their own cars, which is partially true. But when you think about how much more complicated cars have gotten with the amount of information that there is now out in the on the internet and in different texts and books and different reference materials, it is a lot more easier to do a lot more now than it was before. And by that I mean, so let's just take 1960 as a benchmark. Let's say 1960, cars were pretty simple. I mean, you had pretty much carbureted, 4 cylinders, 6 cylinders, 8 cylinders, and like there was very little wiring and whatnot. Now, to for the person that would be like the average owner of those cars, it's pretty easy to work on. You just need a handful of tools, and you really don't need that much knowledge other than like some basic general mechanical knowledge. And to you and me, I mean, we're both mechanical engineers. It wouldn't be that daunting of a task for us.
Mm-hmm.
But to other people, it even just something as simple as like a 1960s engine in a car is pretty daunting compared to today, where cars have gotten a lot more complicated. But at least in my opinion, when you really get down to the brass tacks of it, it is still a somewhat simple mechanical operation that's going on inside of that engine bay.
Mm-hmm.
You have this basic like theories and same basic principles that are being applied to the situation. Only difference now is you have like way more different like fittings, different variety of things. You need a lot, and like a lot bigger of a toolbox to fix these things. But it all comes down to how much information's out there. There's information to do basically anything you want to do to a vehicle. I mean, I have I have a 2000 Mustang. There's so much information out there for that generation of Mustang that everything I've learned has been through YouTube, or at
Mm-hmm.
least YouTube has gotten me close enough to where I can connect the dots for the rest of it. I can figure the rest of it out. It could get me 50, 75% of the way, and I can figure the rest out. Or, forums. There's forums now. Those are extremely helpful, whereas you didn't have that back in the day. So I think it's a plus and a con that cars have gotten a lot more complicated, and you need a lot more tools for them. But on the other hand, it's the same principles. Now, I'm not including like electric cars and hybrids, those kind of stuff. It does get a lot more complicated, like way more complicated. But like a normal engine nowadays, gas engine, an internal combustion engine is a lot simpler than those, but it's still in the sense the same principles. And there's just so much information out there that if you really want to do something, you can get it done, especially if it's something as simple as oil changes, spark plugs. It's not easy, but you can do it if you're just willing to put in the time.
That is good-ish. That is good-ish. Christian, man, listen, we've been here for about an hour and a half. And listen, there's been a lot of good info for all those that are watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys were rocking with it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Christian, I heard you had a shout out. What you got going?
Yeah, so if y'all want to go follow Tuners Collective on Instagram, we got a couple thousand followers. I'm a big car guy, so that's what we do. I run an Instagram page where we host events in person. We have a YouTube channel that's linked to our Instagram at Kyle Hamlet. If you guys want to go look at that on YouTube, we do a bunch of car content. So Tuners Collective on Instagram and at Kyle Hamlet on YouTube. So go hit those up if you guys enjoy car content.
Say that, guys. I'm telling you guys, the ish is legit, and I know it's your Toyota, right? Your Toyota car. I saw you tune that.
Yeah, so I got a 2007 Honda Civic that's boosted, as well as a 2000 Mustang that's boosted. Right now we're swapping bodies on the Mustang, so there's a lot of content out there. So
say that
if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, go drop a follow.
Bro, go check it out. Go drop a follow. Go drop a subscribe. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to your dude. Guys, every Saturday, we back with some more stories. And I got to get some cold ones soon. But when the Super Bowl happens, you're going to see me drinking. Don't stress. So I'm going to catch you on the next one.
This is how I move. I don't never lose.